gentlemen, Extreme Racing League presents to you the XRRL Series, the Extreme Racing Realistic League Series. I'm your host for today's race, Insane Leader 13, and today it's going to be the first race of what will be a 17-race season of full-length F1 races, where the big appeal and the big challenge in it all is going to be that the slowest drivers will be in the fastest cars and the fastest drivers in the slowest cars. Last week we had a one-off event at Catalunya for a testing race, and despite only having 9 drivers show up, it ended up having a lot of very interesting implications throughout, with very, very interesting changes in the pace of the race as it went on. But in the end, it was a single-stop setup that brought home the victory. Here, however, we're looking at a slightly bigger field, more faster cars being brought in as well. This could be a very, very interesting event. Right now, we're looking at an 11-car field rather than a 9-car field that we were last week. So this could be very, very interesting to say the least. We're going to be running at Circuit of the Americas. After our first 2 races of the season, this series will then begin to mimic the schedule that the main XRL, X1, X2, and X3 series have. Stand by for just a little bit, going ahead and just doing a real quick test. Also, for those of you who are interested and curious, tomorrow X1, X2, and X3 will all be doing their season finales for their 3rd season for X1 and 2nd season for X2 and X3, and those finales will all be at the Yas Marina circuit at Abu Dhabi. Not necessarily a great track, but for the chaos at least it'd be worth checking out. Not to mention that in X3 there is a very tight championship battle going on. Right now, we're just waiting for the other drivers to finally jump in. They are anticipating 1 or 2 more drivers to be able to show up before we get too far into this here. We are going to be doing a full-length qualifying session by the looks of it, even though we have a very small lobby for right now. Honestly, if the lobby stays small like this, they may go to just a 30-minute session, qualifying session. But for right now, we're looking at a full qualifying lobby. They're just anticipating more drivers to show up sooner rather than later. Anyways, we're having a little bit of issues with getting some of the drivers in for right now. Please stand by for just a little bit here. We're going to try and see if there's anything we can do on this end to help get everything sorted out. There we are. Now we have our viewers starting to show up. So for those of you who are interested in watching, just please stand by for a little bit. There are issues getting a few drivers potentially into the event, although they are trying to get everything readied up as soon as possible. Just stand by. We're still waiting on 1 or 2 drivers to show up. We're currently waiting on XRRL Wax. Wax was one of the drivers who ran up front most of the day last week in the test race and ended up winning that event by virtue of only having to make 1 stop. He's the driver who currently they're having an issue getting into the lobby. but hopefully you can get that fixed sooner rather than later. Of note, there's not anticipated to be any drivers that will be running under the banner of the Tracing Point machine, so nothing from that team. There's also anticipated to be another Ferrari driver who hasn't shown up quite yet, but here we are. Looking at the drivers who have shown up, XRRL Ultimate and MCR Path will both be driving in the Williams team. For the Haas team, it will be Beard Boost and A. Waddington. Waddington was your X1 Season 1 champion and has helped bring his team to Manufacturers Championships in both Season 2 and Season 3. In the Alfa Romeo team, it's XRL Ollie. Then you get into Scuderia AlphaTauri Honda. Hazel's going to be representing that team. Within the McLaren team, you'll have XRL Lowe. In the Aston Martin team, XRL Zola will be representing them. In the Ferrari team, Ryan Hurricane is here. And again, we are expecting one more Ferrari driver to show up before we get underway with qualifying. And then XRL Seal is anticipated to run for Mercedes. Now, it looks like we are not going to be able to get our final driver in for this qualifying session. He might be able to get in after qualifying is over, but we will only have 11 drivers qualifying, so our first qualifying session is going to be, for all intents and purposes, a moot point, considering that with 11 drivers, they won't have to worry about anyone getting knocked out for some time here. So this is going to be more of like an extended, glorified practice session here with only about 11 cars on the track. So nothing too massive, I imagine, we'll see happen here. As long as nobody ends up totaling their cars, everyone will easily advance into Q2. And of the 11 drivers we have here, 10 of them will automatically advance into Q3. What will be interesting, though, is that the entire field will end up having to set their tire compound of choice, though, in Q2. But for right now, this will just be a good idea for us to see what race pace is going to be like for some of these drivers, because I imagine a lot of the drivers will end up using this more as a time to test if maybe running a hard tire compound could be a relevant choice. We saw at Catalunya doing only a single stop brought home a victory, so maybe getting away with only a single stop here would help significantly. A gray overcast sky seems to be green us at Circuit of the Americas, but the track looks to be dry for the moment at least, and it looks like our first driver is about to come out. There is XRL Ledger, and he will be your first driver out into the circuit today. Riding that Alfa Romeo machine. He's going out on the intermediates, despite the fact that for now the track is dry, so this is interesting to say the least. Again, no real urge or hustle to try and make a time in qualifying sector 1. The top 15 cars will automatically advance, and right now we're on the lookout for drivers that will win, so. Of the Williams machines is on their way out, though. That is MCR Path. He is on the soft tire compound, and with him we'll get a much better idea as to what the actual pace in the race will be. We're getting words that the qualifying session itself is anticipated to be dry, but the race itself is anticipated to be wet, so that could make things very interesting here. Now more drivers are coming out. Hazel is now out onto the race circuit, as is XRL Ultimate, who is the other Williams driver. He's already invalidated his initial out lap, though. Ledger will be the first one to cross the line, assuming he actually wants to try and set a full-on time with the intermediate tire compound, which, again, very strange decision considering that there is no rain anticipated here for this session. Coming out of that final corner. Now Zola, he's still in the pit lane. Well, he's actually on his way out now, but he's looking to start on the medium tire compounds. And he is not the only one. And the Haas team, Waddington, is also en route to do the same thing. Sir Path has now begun his flying lap, and he will be joined very shortly by his teammate XRRL Ultimate, who is coming through the final corner right now. Out of the final corner. XRRL Low is also on an out lap right now as we have Beard Boost and Waddington both coming out at the same time, actually kind of holding each other up coming out of the pit lane, so that will be interesting to take note going forward. This is XRRL Low in the McLaren. And like I normally try to do during these events, and especially considering how much free time we're going to have in Q1, I'm going to go on board with this McLaren so you get an idea as to what it sounds like running here at Coda. No words from the booth, all from that's a full lap at Circuit of the Americas on board for McLaren that XRRL Low is driving as we now follow MCR Path. And the Williams, he is on another invalid lap right now. Low is the second driver to set a lap time with a 134.482. Hasler set a 133.336. As of now, though, no one else has set times. The most important thing is to just get a setup locked in so you're locked into the race and you can make it into qualifying second 2. Comes Path coming in. He's going to abandon his current attempts. This is Ollie in that Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo had a respectable representation in the exhibition event at Catalunya, and Alfa Romeo drivers, one of them, are fighting for the championship in X3. So it's been a very well-respected and well-represented manufacturer within XRL, but we have to see what Ollie and his teammate Ledger will be able to do. Ledger is still out on intermediate tires. He will set a time of 157.410 on intermediates on a dry, completely bone-dry track. Frankly, I have to wonder what Ledger is thinking or doing, because the race itself is anticipated to be wet, and he is burning through what could later become a valuable set of intermediate tires. But it is worth noting, though, that Steele in the Williams has invalidated his current lap. He was actually on for a decent lap potential, but he has had a hard time keeping that Mercedes properly on the circuit. Well, I didn't mean it like that. So be careful through there. That's going to be XRRL Zola and the Red Bull who is coming up right now. As Steele gets a case of snap oversteer and ends up turning the car right into the inside wall, knocks off one of the wing plates. He very, very cautiously navigates his car around turn 19. He also is having issues with fuel right now. Max has now joined the session. But the interesting thing is going to be, will Wax be allowed to do qualifying with these drivers or not when we get to Q2? Again, right now, the most important thing is to not destroy your car, like Steele almost did, and maybe be into Q2, but there's definitely room for him to join right now. See a bunch of other drivers all coming in as well. Right now, Ollie is one of the few cars who are still out on track flying. Waddington is retiring from the session, as is Zola. They feel that there's no need to continue to return laps. Again, with only 11 drivers right now, all of them are guaranteed to make it this year. The main focus right now is to just set a lap time again. Ollie has gone up to second on the time sheet, so 1:35.51. Softs unsurprisingly dominate the current strategy, well, not strategy, but grid right now. This is Lowe, who he is now coming in, and he will board his current run and will more than likely decide to retire unless he thinks that he can get something extra out of that car. See, there comes a Ferrari, and that is Ryan Hurricane, as Lowe is now officially retired from the session. Hurricane is now coming out onto the track, and Wax has been allowed into the session as Steele and Hazel are now both retiring. So right now, there are only 4 cars who have not set times, and Wax will be allowed to run. That's the important thing to take note of here. Ultimate is now out on the track, and right behind him is Ryan Hurricane, then Wax and the Ferrari, and Path and the Williams are still good to go. Ollie, who is in the Alfa Romeo, is on the back half of the circuit, and we anticipate that he will probably come in very shortly. Machine coming around the hairpin and onto that nice long back straightaway. Very, very slight curve on that back straight. Not enough to really make anything of note, but there is a slight curve, so it's not just a pure straight shot. Ollie has come into the pits now, and here comes Wax. So Wax is now coming out, as is Path. Path is now out onto the circuit in turn 1. But Hurricane and Ultimate are making their runs through the 16, 17, 18 complex right now. And as of note, Wax is going to be running on intermediate tires as well. So now that Ultimate has begun his flying lap, this is Hurricane. He's running on the medium tire compounds. This is Wax. He's running on intermediate tires. And just ahead of him on the circuit, well ahead of him on the circuit, on the backstretch already, is MCR Path on his out lap. Ollie is currently in the pits, and it's not anticipated he will come back out on the circuit. So right now, there are only 4 cars on track at the moment. Ultimate is really the only one of those 4 who are likely to take a potential top time in the session. But again, not to worry, with 12 drivers, we are anticipating all of them to go ahead and move into the next session. Oh, Path invalidates his lap coming out of turn 19. Now the question is going to be, will the game keep it invalid as they start the next lap? No. So he will have a good flying chance here. Wax is still extremely slow on those intermediate, very low in grip compared to any of the slicks. These are grooved tires for the intermediates, and Ollie is now retired in session. But they are grooved tires, and something has happened to Ultimate. Ultimate has gone around and damaged the nose of the car there. It's back underway now. Is he going to come in? No, he's going to stay out. He seems to think that whatever damage is on that car is not enough to end his day. But he's also going to set a time, 147.726. So he still is ahead of Ledger. Path and Wax both have yet to set times. Both of them are in the middle of invalid laps, though. Everyone else who's on track has set laps. Now, of note, Steel and Beard Boost both retired before setting a lap, but they did go out on circuit. At least for Steel, we know he went out on circuit. I'm not 100% sure for Beard Boost, but Steel did go out on circuit and set something. So, I'm going to be interested to see if the game will let Steel and Beard Boost go ahead and advance into Q2. Oh, and Path. It's not Path, that's Ultimate. Ultimate has gone around again, and this time it's in the S's, coming out of the S's this time. So the damage to that front winglet is more significant on the handling of that Williams than anticipated. Yes, following him right now. Everyone on track is currently in the middle of an invalid lap. Alright, now coming into the same section, this is where Ultimate damaged the car the last lap. He'll put the power down and immediately the rear end spins out again, so that's twice now that's happened in the same section of the circuit, turn 15. He's putting the power down a little bit too aggressively and the Williams gets looped right around. Now the good news for Ultimate is that he has already set a lap. So he can go ahead and come into the pits and not risk damaging the car, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So now it's just down to Path and Wax. Wax is still on intermediates. He has his teammate Hurricane behind him. Pull over briefly so his teammate can go ahead and go by. Excuse me. Very strange decision by Wax, to say the least, as he has been running this entire section on these intermediate tires. One of the other things, I thought we'd see somebody go out there and use this as a glorified test session to see how the mediums or hards would hold up after about 15 minutes or so, but we've not seen that. There are only 4 cars that are still in position to set laps, and of them, only the 2 Ferraris are still out on track. Everyone else has come into the pits, and I'm still interested to see if Ultimate or Path will go ahead and retire out of the session. Oh, Wax! You see the lack of grip really harming the car's ability to take that high-speed complex. Well, you can see the rear end skidding out on him going into turn 17. Hurricane is now going to retire from the session after he pulls into the pit road. Wax has finally set a lap time 149.414, significantly faster than Ledger on the same tire compound. That's the interesting thing to note. Path is in the pits, but is now on track, and neither is Ultimate. Ultimate has that time, Path has not. And you can see the low fuel warning flashing on Wax's machine. So he will have to come in at the end of this lap simply because there's not going to be enough fuel for him. With Ultimate in the pits and Path in the pits, Wax might decide to bring the car into the pit road and retire, and if he does, that may bring an early end to the session. coming now. This is the section that Ultimate had a little spin through. You can still see some of those tire marks on the track there. Now, neither of the Williams are out on the circuit, and with only 28 seconds left, that means that this is going to be it for the session. I imagine we'll see Wax pull into the pits, and he will probably retire, and that will bring us to a unceremonious early end to qualifying session 1, which is really more of just a extended practice session, all things considered. That's it from qualifying session 1 here. There you are. There's all your drivers, and again, Steele and Beard Boost did not set any times. Path attempted to, but was not able to. And now here we are. This is where it's going to be where it gets important. All drivers are allowed to move on into the next qualifying session, so we will have 12 drivers vying for 10 spots. And also of note, this will be where everyone will set up their tire strategy if the race starts under dry conditions. Now, if the race ends up starting wet, the tire strategy will mean nothing. For now, we anticipate a potential wet start, a potential dry start, so the choice between softs and mediums may have a massive, massive impact here. You can already see a train of cars coming out onto the circuit, and they're going to be led by Waddington and Beard Boost in the Haas machines. Ferrari Power gaining very, very strong representation. Half of the cars running today are running Ferrari Power plants. The 2 Haas, the 2 Alfa Romeos, and the 2 Ferraris. See DRS being popped open for everyone going down the straights. The only drivers who are not on the circuit right now is XRRL and XRRL Ultimate. Everyone else already out on track, and the question is going to be, will they be able to get enough clean track, to set a clean lap. A little bit of a Fox overtake there between one of the Alfa Romeos and the Haas of Beard Boost that we're following here. The Alfa will eventually be about to go ahead. For his teammate Waddington, a little bit squirrely coming out of turn 20, but he will now begin his flying lap, and Ledger will join him shortly afterwards. Steele is out on the track also. We'll have the 3 cars that are running Mercedes power units today. Now, no, only one no power plant as the McLaren from XRRL. There is a yellow flag for Steele, has had a little bit of an issue there. Going into the S's, he's completely pulled off the circuit for now, though. We'll attempt to merge back on. I imagine once Zola is gone. There he is. Zola has gone past, and we will see Steele shortly, hopefully from a better camera angle, because I want to see if there's any damage on that Mercedes or not. It does not appear that there is any, though. And Ultimate is now beginning his out lap. His teammate Path, though, is already retired in the pits also very interested there. This is Hazel at AlphaTauri Honda. Excuse me. You see Williams is pulled off here in turn 17 on the outfield. No, I guess it is the infield, depending on how you look at it. In relation to the entire track, it's the infield, but in relation to just those cars, I guess it would be the outside. Waddington, Ledger, and Beard Boost have now all set their laps. Hazel is coming around the final corner right now. Ollie has set the lap, and now Hazel will go straight to the top, 132.862. Ultimate is now on an out lap. And this is Ryan Hurricane, one of the Ferraris, as he rounds that final corner to set his first lap of the day. 134.610, and he's choosing to run the medium tire compounds right now. This is Path, as he has now been released by his team to go out onto the circuit. Him and Lowe will both join the track, so we can anticipate to see everyone having set a lap time in a very short period of time. Something, however, has gone wrong with the Williams of XRRL Ultimate. Something sounds wrong with that car, but he has gone around. No damage as far as I can tell to that car, though. His current lap is invalid, as it is the same for Steele. Now they go down the back straightaway. Steele in that Mercedes has gone off circuit again, so it seems like despite being what is without doubt the fastest car on track, XRRL Steele is having a very, very hard time keeping significant control of the Mercedes. Again, for those of you not familiar in this league, the fastest drivers in XRRL are given the slowest cars, and the slowest drivers are given the fastest cars. With the Mercedes being the fastest car and Steele being the one in it, I have to hope that there's something just mechanically set up with that car that's giving it issues right now. Otherwise, the implications would be very negative, to say the least. As he is going to go ahead and bring it into the pits to try probably get onto a different set of tires and hopefully adjust the setup. Ultimate has set a time of 147.230 at the line, but it's invalid. He will have to go again. Mo is now beginning his flying lap, and shortly he will be joined by Path. Now Path is beginning his flying lap as well. About half the field is currently in the pit lane right now. And Waddington is retiring from the session. He feels that the time he has set, 133.195, is good enough that he will not be knocked out of the race, and frankly, he is. Right now, Hazel and Waddington are both pretty much locked into qualifying Section 3. Zola running very, very low on fuel, as is the Alfa Romeo behind him. So neither of them will directly factor in the immediate short term when it comes to lap times. It's Path, Steele, Lowe, and Ultimate that are the big questions, and Steele is currently in the pit lane. Path is on a lap 102.659 at the end of Sector 2, but Sector 3, excuse me, sorry about that. Sector 3 is much more technical. You see the Williams struggling to master those sections of the circuit. Here comes Lowe. Ultimate goes up to second on the timesheets, though, 133.118. And this now means that Waddington's position going to... Well, frankly, Waddington's still pretty much locked in, all things considered. Now, Wax is on to timesheets 133.205. Right now, Path and Steele are the only two drivers who have yet to get their laps in. Path is beginning a flying lap now after he invalidated his prior one. Steele is still on an out lap, and he has invalidated his out lap going through the S's. And something has happened to Lowe. Went way off circuit there, coming out of turn 2. But he is back out onto the track now. Meanwhile, on the back straightaways, the Ferrari of Ryan Hurricane, he's only set at 134.610. Now is his chance to try and see if he can improve. Ledger has now come back onto game. Never got kicked out, granted, but he is now back. So we'll more likely see Ryan Hurricane set a flying lap very shortly here. In fact, one more time, we're going to go quiet for this next lap and a third, just so you can see and hear what's like on board. Oh, wow, ultimate. But we're going to go quiet so you can see what's like on board a Ferrari at Circuit of the Americas here in qualifying session 2. Now Ryan Hurricane goes to the top. We're going to go on board one more lap. I'm dealing with some technical issues right over here that I need to take care of. Back. Sorry about that. That's a little bit disappointing. But anyways, we're still waiting on Steele to go ahead and set a full-on lap time. The Mercedes has had nothing but problems trying to get an actual lap in for this event here. The hopes is that will end up getting fixed. But right now, he is currently very, very low on fuel, and he's not even on the back straightaway right now. Zola is in the worst position, though, in the Red Bull. And this is one of the cars that contended for the win. Oh! Well, as I say that, now he goes up to second, so now he's got 132.802, and this means that Ollie is the next driver on the bubble who might not make it into Q3, but the thing is, for Ollie, he is on an out lap, and he will have enough time to set one, maybe even 2 laps, so things are looking to potentially get better for him. Something has gone wrong with, no, Beard Boost, nothing's gone wrong there, but he has gone ahead and decided to pull over so that way Zola would get a better flyer lap. But for right now, Zola is on the top in the Red Bull. Steele is on the bottom in the Mercedes. Well, it's actually the Ferrari of Hurricane who's on the top, but he's retired from the session. So Zola is on the top of all the cars who are still in a position to set laps. Path has retired from the session. Hazel's retired. Waddington has all retired. Wax is on an out lap right now, trying to see if he can improve on his run here. This is Steele, who is in the pits right now, and he needs to get onto the track ASAP if he wants any shot of making it into Q3. Right now, this is Zola, who is bringing it into the pit road right now, though. This is Beard Boost, meanwhile, who is coming around turn 19. Zola has retired from the session, and I anticipate we might see Beard Boost do the same very shortly here. Ultimate is on an outlap, as is Wax. Ledger is in the pits. Low has invalidated his current lap, but he's trying to get everything set up for a big flyer so he can move up the order. Beard Boost is retired from the session. If Ollie sets a faster lap, or if Steele gets a lap in, although it's looking very unlikely with only a minute left on this clock, then Low will get knocked out. So Low needs to have everything ready if he wants to try and make it into Q3. And he invalidates it, coming out of turn 19. Will the game keep it invalidated by the time they can cross the line? Nope, it's a fresh lap. He was 8/10 up. So Ollie has the ability to make it up. And this is going to be his only shot. Low is trying to improve. He goes up to 9th. Ultimate has retired from the session. Wait. Ultimate's not on the pit road, I don't think. I think Ultimate's crashed coming into the pit lane, and by virtue has likely totaled his car. And that means if that's so, if what I'm seeing is true, he will not have any chance whatsoever to set a better lap. He will be knocked out of the session. Steele is out on the track, but it's too late for him. He's not going to be able to set a lap, period. And yes, Ultimate was knocked out. He crashed out. So now, Low is in a position where he'll more likely stay in, but will it be for Ollie? Ollie needs to set a lap that's clean and faster than what Ultimate set. Low is right now 2/10 up on his time. Ledger has completed his lap. Wax is coming through, but he has invalidated his current lap despite being 7/10 up. Low goes way off the circuit. Something's wrong with the McLaren. Here comes the Alfa Romeo. Will Ollie make it into qualifying session 3? Turn 19. Runs a little wide, but not too wide. It's still green. He's having fuel issues. This is what the ERS is for, as he engages ERS on the straight. At the line, it's good enough for 9th. And Low gets knocked out. Low is knocked out of qualifying session 3. Something went wrong on that car going into the 16, 17, 18 complex. He was en route to get a faster lap. The car went extremely wide, way off the racetrack, coming out of turn 16, and the lap was lost. For Ollie, this is the best thing that could happen to him. He is going to make it into Q3 and get a shot at potentially getting the pole for today's event. We are getting word that we may have other drivers be allowed. So we're getting word that Ultimate will still be enabled to go on to the next lap because his time was set before he crashed. But the game is saying otherwise. The game is saying Ultimate's not going to make it. So I'm very interested to see which is right, because I'm being told by officials Ultimate would be allowed into Q3, but the game right now is saying Ultimate's knocked out. But all Ferrari-powered cars make it into the next round. Nothing Renault-powered makes it in. And only one Mercedes-powered machine, that's the Williams of MCR Path, is going to make it in to the next round. So almost a complete inversion of what we see in the X1, X2, X3 races, where Ferrari power doesn't seem to be a massive benefit. Here, in this series, Ferrari power doesn't matter if you're in the Ferrari, the Alfa Romeo, or the Haas. It seems to be a big, big benefit. Also, for Wax, he is the only driver to end the session on the medium compound tire. So if the race starts in the dry and then goes wet, Wax may have a little bit more unique setup and strategy for the event. Currently standing by and waiting for the game to get the qualifying session 3 set up. And we're getting word from Lowe, and yep, there's your answer. So we only have 9 drivers who will be in Q3. And word from Lowe right now is that he let the pressure get to him. He kept looking in his mirrors at the guys behind him who were also in qualifying laps, primarily Ollie, and just got into his head and ended up causing him to overbrake going through the final sectors of the track. But now drivers are beginning to come out onto the circuit. This is where, to quote a legendary warrior turned villain in a galaxy from a long time ago, now far distance, this is where the fun begins. Ollie and Zola are going to be 2 of the first drivers out, as will Beard Boost and Wax. This is Ollie. He is the last person to set a solid lap in Q2, and he will attempt to be the first one to do the same here in Q3. Hazel is now coming out onto the circuit as well. There is, I believe, a Ferrari on his way out. That is Ryan Hurricane, who is just coming out of the pit lane right now. Final corner. Like I said, Ollie trying to be the first driver to set a time here. Right now, the only car who's not onto the circuit is Waddington. This is the other Alfa Romeo. This is Ledger, who's coming out of the S's right now. The S's have a really, really aggressive, nearly 90-degree corner at the very end, but due to the way that the track undulates right there, because it's at the top of the hill, if you take the right line for being a near 90-degree corner, you can take it almost flat out. It's a very, very interesting session. I'm not a crazy fan of Coda, but the S's in general, I think, are some of the best that you have across the entirety of Formula One right now. Zola is at 25.017 at the end of Sector 1. Runs a little bit wide, coming out of the S's. Apparently, it's not invalidating the lap, though. He's getting very bullish on the ERS on the little straight. This is the main straight, though. How aggressive will he be on the ERS here? He has put the foot to the floor. DRS is open. He is gunning for it to happen this lap. Under braking now. Every single straight, doesn't matter how short it is, Zola is jumping onto that ERS, which is basically a little bit of extra power from the battery. He is using that to assist the car anywhere he can, get any little bit of extra speed out that he can. 16, 17, 18. Coming to turn 19 now. Ollie, fastest time 133.105. But Zola wants to combat that. Beard Boost to the top now, 132.791 at the line. What will Zola set? 132.725. And now right after that comes Wax, 131.941. First may not always be the fastest here. Hazel is now coming down through the final corner, 102.303 at the end of Sector 2 for him. At the end of Sector 3, though, he'll set 132.933. And now, what will Hurricane be able to set here? He is coming into turn 20 now. DRS open, and at the line is good enough for third, 132.758. So an outstanding job, for now at least. MCR Path and XRRL Ledger both have yet to set their times. Ledger is on the run down to turn 20 now. Path, is on the run down to turn 20. A little bit sideways coming out of the final corner, but it's good enough for second. 132.491. What about Ledger? At the line, Ledger will set a time of a 133.180, the slowest that we've had thus far. And Waddington still has yet to come out of the pits. And now, here's the question. Is Ollie staying out for another lap? He is indeed staying out for one more lap by the looks of it, but the fuel light is on. But at the line, he did improve by 12 hundredths. The thing is, that's not enough to move him higher than where he currently is. Beard Boost is coming into the pits. Zola is coming into the pits as well. Wax is very slow right now. He is on a cooldown lap. His fuel is extremely low at the moment. Hazel, though, he has full ERS, but he's very, very low on fuel. We could see a faster lap out of Hazel if he can keep the ERS and be extremely aggressive on throughout an entire lap. Ledger on the back straightaway. He has DRS open, but he does not have the fuel to make it to the end right now. Path, a little bit of a lockup in the rear tires there as Hurricane is bringing it into the pits. Path doesn't have a whole lot of ERS left, and his fuel is going to be very, very close to empty. He has invalidated his lap. And he misses the pit lane entrance! The same thing we saw happened to his William teammate has now happened to Path. The difference, though, is that Ultimate destroyed his car. Path was able to keep the worst of damage from happening. He will be back out onto the circuit. Ledger is still out onto the circuit, as is Ollie, but both of them are going to be coming in. Ledger is now in, and we'll see Ollie come in shortly, but Zola is going to come out onto the circuit now. And as for Waddington, he is finally making his appearance on the racetrack, the last driver to set a time in the final qualifying session of the day. Waddington's invalidated his current lap. That's not too much of an issue, though. Zola and Waddington, the only two cars out onto the circuit right now, but Hazel is making moves to rejoin the track, as is one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Ryan Hurricane. It's either Ryan Hurricane or Wax. I'm not able to tell right now. Yes, it is Hurricane. So the run for pole is still alive and well here. Waddington we're riding on board with. The last driver who has yet to set a time in this session. Everyone else has set a time as one of the Alfa Romeos is now coming back onto the track. That's going to be XRRL Ledger. He believes that he can improve from that 133.180. Right now, all three of the manufacturers that made it into this session are represented at the front of the field. That could change very quickly if any of these drivers out here trying to set better laps decide to join the racetrack. Zola and Waddington are the two drivers right now who are on new laps. And this is your result. It's going to be a wet weather start for today's race here at Circuit of the Americas. Currently, during the 5-minute break before we get underway for the race itself. It looks like we were going to be joined by XRRL Herbie for this event. However, Herbie missed qualifying altogether. He will have to start at the very rear of the grid. And we should be underway in about 5 to 6 minutes. And it looks like everyone's choosing to start on the intermediate tires here. Herbie will be in the other McLaren, so we'll have two representations for the Renault powertrain. So a 13-car grid will be what we see going into today's events. Obviously, no incidents or pit stops, anything to take note of yet. I'm just I'm just playing around right now because we have a little bit of free time. I want to be a little bit more serious in these XRRL broadcasts, but considering how small the field has been, it's kind of hard to. The first, basically half of qualifying is basically rendered borderline irrelevant. So the hopes are that the fields will start filling up a little bit more once we're a little bit farther into the series. I just want to say, don't ever swallow a tea bag. I almost just swallowed a tea bag, and that did not feel very good. And not a gaming tea bag. I mean, like an actual tea bag that you would use to do tea with. I may be American, but I really, really like my tea. And I typically leave my tea bag in the cup the entire time that I'm drinking. So that way the flavor just gets more and more intense the farther and farther down it goes. But I wasn't thinking very well, and while not paying attention, I nearly just choked myself to death on a tea bag. So, yeah, do not pull a me. Do not be careful if you're gonna do what I do. But, yeah. Still standing by. Waiting to get underway at Circuit of the Americas, a 13-car field for what will be a full-length race. XRL typically only does 50% length races, but we're looking at a full race here today, so. Or at the least we should be looking at a full-length race, assuming nothing bizarre happens. Still waiting to get the race itself underway here. And apparently there's been a significant issue, so we're going to be dealing with a lobby restart. So while we wait to get the race itself underway properly, we're just going to go ahead and play opening music. We're trying to get some other new music going right now, but for now, and we're going to try and get that going forward, but for now, we're just going to go with the Tom Blade's old Speed Channel theme that they used back while they were covering the Camp Car series between 2002 and 2005. Please enjoy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, they are currently getting the lobby reset up after a issue was saying up the lobby prior, so it's a full-on lobby restart, and they're going to attempt to get this race underway. We are going to be looking at a wet race start, and it's Wax who is going to be starting on the pole position with the Red Bull that is driven by Zola, who will be starting there alongside him. Zola is the driver who will be setting up today's lobby for the main event itself. Here we are. Game underway. Herbie's not rated up, but he should be brought into the lobby by default. We are. Everyone's beginning to load up, and we will load right onto the racetrack and should get underway very shortly. So. Waiting on just Herbie to get properly readied up so that we can get the race underway here. We should be underway here now. Should be underway shortly here. I don't know why it's taken the field so long to actually get to the racetrack. Alright, and it's lights out, and away we go here at Circuit of the Americas, and already Hurricane has a horrible start right off the back. He's going to fall down the grid immediately. There's 3 wide out behind him, nearly 4 wide. There's going to be a little bit of contact between the Williams and the Haas, and Zola and Wax are still neck and neck. Now Wax is going to fall into the lead while Zola begins hemorrhaging positions farther back. Ultimate has dropped all the way back to the 7th position now, and the rain continues to pelt her down. Steel is in the very back, but he's going to be going back there with Ledger and Herbie. Herbie has already moved himself up into the 11th position now, and you can just see how the track is just getting pelted right now. Everyone on the intermediate tires for the moment as they're coming out of the S's. No DRS is available under rainy conditions. Here comes Steel on the outside. That's Ledger, actually. There's going to be a little bit of contact. Steel is right there behind Herbie. And Ledger now has Low in his sights. Low is right there behind Ultimate, who's behind Ollie. Hazel is beginning to open up a gap on him. Hurricane is out in no man's land, while Waddington is fine with MCR Path coming out of the back straightaway now. Zola is right there, trying to see if something will happen to Beard Boost, while Beard Boost is gradually losing contact with the race leader, Wax. Ultimate moved him up into the 8th position now. Look at that dive bomb there from Ledger. Ledger with a humongous dive, but he will have the disadvantage of having to get harder on the brakes. It takes a lot longer to get onto the throttle properly. Because of that, in the end, he will not take that position from Low as they come with the 16, 17, 18 complex. Low is going crazy trying to get by the McLaren. He slides really wide out there, and the Mercedes is going to get by him. In fact, both Mercedes might be able to get by him. Seal is trying to make something happen. Zola has to pit. There is damage on Zola's car. He is going to be pitting to replace that front wing. And for one of the drivers who had a direct threat against Wax, this is going to be very, very bad and problematic. Steel is now dropping off the back of Ledger. Ledger is right there behind Low. He wants to do something to get by the McLaren. He got by him for a few seconds on the first lap. He wants to see if maybe he can do it on this second lap. Everyone currently within a second of each other, except for the top 3. Ledger has a 3-second time penalty already for track violations. Ahead of him, Ollie and Herbie are going at it. Herbie is trying to gradually move up through the field, but Ollie is not making it easy. Herbie has the advantage of being on the outside, but Ollie's Alfa Romeo has a better engine and maybe a little bit better set for straight line speed. Herbie tucks back behind, gets a draft, and is going to go to the outside. Will that be enough to get him by the Alfa Romeo? I personally don't think so. They're still neck and neck, and it looks like Herbie is going to do it. Herbie will slot himself in front of the Alfa Romeo of Holly, move Herbie, who is qualifying altogether, up into the 8th position now. Low has pulled out a little bit of a gap. Steel has gotten by Ledger because Ledger has been involved in an accident and has completely lost the front wing of his Alpha. Ryan Hurricane is dropping through the field as he loses position to both XRRL Ultimate and Hazel in the last bit of the lap. Wax, new fastest lap, 151.586. He is gone, and there is nothing anyone can do about it. He already has more than a 3.3 second gap on the rest of the field. Ledger has been knocked out of the event. He tried bringing that car into the pit road, and instead the car went around, completely got destroyed, and we are under a virtual safety car now. Not a full course safety car, just a virtual one. I'm sure Zola's not happy with that. Zola was probably desperately looking for a full course safety car to gather the field back up. He has a 16.6 second deficit. He needs to figure out some way to make up before they get this race going again. Still under the virtual this is Steele, who's currently at the very back of this pack, actually dropped off of it just a little bit as we now get underway. We're green once more. And for the Haas machines, Beard Boost and Waddington ranked second and third. Very, very good representation from Haas. Williams is in a somewhat similar position. They're running fourth and fifth, and Lowe now has a 3-second time penalty for track violations. Hazel has worked his way up into 6th. He is the highest of all Honda-powered machines in the field right now. No one's really being very aggressive at the moment. It's a long race. Under wet circumstances, you don't want to be like Ledger and end up totaling the car before you even get a tenth of the way through the event. Zola is already up within 15 seconds of Steele, but that's not saying much considering how Steele is rapidly losing the pace from the back of the field. Everyone's now spreading out really quickly here. The only real exception seems to be Path, who's about 7 tenths off from the back of Waddington. Wax is already opening up a 5-second gap now on Beard Boost, and that gap would likely be even larger if we didn't have that virtual safety car for about 2/3 of a lap. Herbie has now just overtaken Ollie at the top of the hill, and Lowe is going to get into Ollie, and Ollie gets knocked off the circuit. He gets dumped by Lowe, and both Alfa Romeo drivers are taken out of the event, and the rear suspension is destroyed on that machine. It's only a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's green on the rest of the racetrack. So again, Zola will not have a chance to catch up to the back of the field here. But now the question is going to be, does Lowe have any significant damage on his car that will keep him from being able to run? You can see right there, significant damage to the front wing. The outermost winglet on the left side of that front wing is damaged. Lowe having a little bit of trouble putting power down. Now the question obviously becomes, will Lowe come into the pits? And Ollie has now left the session officially. Lowe is going to come into the pits now, and he will repair and replace that front wing. Zola is now within 12.6 seconds of Steele. Steele is now your 9th place driver. Herbie has gotten by drivers, and then just shortly after the tragedy comes up to them. I'm sure Hurricane's not happy about that because he'll be the next driver that gets his sights set on. Waddington, meanwhile, has the Williams of Path and Ultimate coming up on him, although Path has just received a time penalty for track violations. You can see Path really not comfortable with that car coming out of the S's. It brings his teammate Ultimate right up behind him. Ultimate is going to go into braking, but will not attempt to make a move on his teammate going into the corner, but he'll look at maybe doing something going down the straightaway if Path continues to make these mistakes. There he is. He's going on the outside now. Again, no DRS. It's just simply a better run. This is Hazel a little bit further back. I don't know why the game sent me there. Waddington is right there behind Beard Boost, and the gap between first and second is 7 seconds now. Nobody is catching Wax today unless he makes a mistake. Steele, farthest back of all the drivers who have not been involved in an incident thus far. Zola had to come in at the end of lap 1 to put on a new front wing. He is already within 10.7 seconds of Steele, but he's losing the rest of the field in comparison, and Lowe has to repair his front wing after he ended up dumping Ollie there coming out of the S's. The gap now 8 seconds and climbing, but Waddington is right there behind Beard Boost. Ultimate has lost the Haas machines just a little bit, so it seems like the field is getting very much differentiated by teams now. The only real exception to that being Hurricane, who just did not have a good start, has been caught in the midfield most of the day. He's currently about 1 3/4 of a second behind Hazel right now, and trying to keep away from Herbie. Low has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Path has 3 right now. And Ledger has now officially left the session, and there goes Hazel! And Hazel has just destroyed the car as he puts the power down too aggressively on the back straightaway, spins across the track, and that is a full course safety car here. And you can see that rear suspension completely destroyed on that AlphaTauri. And with how chaotic this race has been, we may not have any cars left by the end of today's race. But for Zola, this is perfect. He finally will have a chance to catch up to the back of the field. We were just about a tenth of the way through the field, and we're already down to 10 cars. And now Herbie has a time penalty for track violations. The pace car is currently positioned at the exit of turn 2, at the entry of turn 3, the entry of the S's, basically. It will take a little bit of time for the entire field to properly get gathered up. I don't know if they'll be able to do it all within a lap. Currently under a full course yellow flag here. It's going to take a while for Lowe and Zola to both catch up to the back of the field. Zola went ahead and decided to jump on to a different set of intermediates as well, so he'll be on fresher tires compared to everyone ahead of him. Zola is more than likely your best chance of seeing somebody go up and fight directly with Wax today, considering the two of them were on comparable pace at the Catalunya event. And he's not going to catch the back of the field though this lap, so they'll probably go green at the end of the following lap, and not this one, I imagine. Steele has just now finally caught the back of the field. He is there with his teammate Herbie. And the most interesting thing, at least in my opinion, is that for the most part, all the teams are grouped together with the exception of the Ferrari, as Hurricane is still back there in the 6th position. But the Haas machines are both together, the Williams are both together, and the Alfa Romeos were running about the same area when they both got taken out, although it was taken out in separate incidents. So, at least personally, I find that to be pretty interesting. But 3 different accidents knock out 3 different drivers in the first 6 laps of this event. We're now under a full course safety car, waiting for Lowe and Zola to probably catch up to the back of the field. And for Beard Boost and Wellington, this will be their best chance to take a fight to Wax and try to fight for the win of today's race. Now, right on board Zola, you can finally see the back of the field up there, so everyone is finally just about gathered up. Only 10 cars left, so that means that all 10 of these drivers will get points at the end of this event. And we see the pace car finally beginning to open up a gap on the rest of the field as we're going to prepare to get underway here. We're going to ride on board with Waddington coming to the green flag to see if either of these Haas's can do anything to our race leader. The rain continues to pelt down heavily here. If anything, I think it might have gotten a little heavier since the initial race start. Coming to the green flag, this is where it all comes down to. Beard Boost has his best chance to do something to Wax here. He's closing in on the Ferrari. He's right in his tire tracks. Now he's going to go to the outside, got to try and do a crossover coming out of that first corner. Nothing yet. Zola is able to overtake Lowe farther back in the field. And already, immediately, everyone starts spreading out in the top 5 at least. And Wax is already gone. Path had a very, very bad start, was not able to keep up with Ultimate. Oh, and that was Herbie who went off the circuit there. It looked like he cut 2 or 3 different corners there. Now Steele has lost a position to Zola and has the McLaren of Lowe working on him. Steele and the Mercedes struggling to keep that car going forward, despite being the most overpowered car in the field. It looks like the driver talent is not comparable enough to keep him running near the front where we're typically used to seeing Mercedes run at. Lowe wants to make something happen to the Mercedes ahead of him, but farther up, Ultimate has caught Waddington. Waddington is being held up by Beard Boost. The Path has fallen off the back of his teammate 2 seconds out. We're not even a full lap in. He has Ryan Hurricane a little bit behind him, who is trying to hold off the Mercedes of Herbie. And Zola is the driver currently behind Herbie as well. Again, under wet weather conditions, there are no DRS, so every overtake you see is a legit driver-focused overtake. Oh, and somebody just went really, really well off the racing line there. That's Path. It looked like he put the power down and the car started rotating. He was able to save it, though, and he's going to stay ahead of the Ferrari for now. One of the advantages of that is that he went through a wetter section of the track, so it will keep the tires a little bit cooler for a little bit. His teammate, Ultimate, now has a time penalty while he's trying to get by the Haas ahead of him. Ultimate right there behind Waddington, who's right there behind Beard Boost. Arguably, you could say that each of these 3 drivers are being held up by Beard Boost in a different way. Ultimate isn't able to get by Waddington because Waddington's getting a draft off of Beard Boost down the straight, but Waddington can't get by Beard Boost because Beard Boost is just fast enough coming out of the corners that Waddington can't power down by him in any of the straights, and there's no DRS to help these drivers here. Hurricane has gone off. I believe he's made contact with somebody. He is back on the track, and there is no damage apparently to that car. Zola, though, has made it up into the 6th position. Ultimate still trying to see if he can do anything to the Haas's ahead. Now Zola has a time penalty for track violations. Waddington is going to dip down low into the wetter section of the track again, trying to keep the tires nice and cool. Steele now has a time penalty. Here comes Ultimate. He's going to look for a dive on Waddington going through turn 1. But Waddington has an advantage. The outside line puts their power down a little bit earlier, so that run down the hill from turn 1, the advantage was very plainly going to go to Waddington, but Ultimate's right there underneath the Haas's rear wing through the S's. If Waddington has a mistake and doesn't block the track bad enough for Ultimate, Ultimate might be able to slingshot past him out of this corner here. Not this time. Waddington is now falling off the back of Beard Boost as well. Here comes Ultimate, the Mercedes-powered Williams making a dive on the Ferrari-powered Haas. But again, Waddington on the outside has the advantage because he's able to get on the power a little bit earlier. Both drivers go into the wetter section of the track. Waddington trying to keep the tires cool, and Ultimate following him to get maximum draft. Now Ultimate goes on the outside, heavy on the braking. Now he's going to have the outside advantage, but Waddington's going to take the apex away. They're going to be neck and neck, and the benefit's going to go to Ultimate here, but it's not mattering because Waddington is going to keep it neck and neck. They're still fighting side by side through the slowest, most technical sections of the racetrack, and they make contact tire to door, and Waddington is still going to stay ahead. Ultimate trying to not be right behind Waddington. He wants to keep nice, fresh air on the front wing so he can maximize his speed. If they keep fighting like that, it will bring Path up there, and Path will be fighting with them as well. This is a little bit farther back in the field. Lowe has dropped off the back of Steele. He's not in a position to get by him. Back to this fight, though. Ultimate seems to be able to close on Waddington throughout the entirety of Sector 1, but hasn't yet been able to capitalize that and make that into a lasting overtake on the Haas ahead of him. Lowe has gotten by Steele, but he got a 3-second time penalty in the process. Once again, trying to make something happen to the Ferrari-powered cars ahead. Ooh, and Beard Boost ahead is actually losing time. Now Waddington once again has caught him. Ultimate's dropped off of Waddington's rear end just a little bit. They're both starting to walk away from Path once more. Of note, Beard Boost has opened up a 5.5 second gap. Wax has opened up a 5.5 second gap on Beard Boost. He is basically going to cruise off with the victory, assuming nothing happens. Of note, though, Wax and Zola at the Catalunya exhibition race a week ago, both were in positions to win by massive amounts before both of them had spins. Zola's was enough to damage the car bad enough that he had to come into the pits. Wax just went for a spin, but we've seen races already, even if it's only been one, we've seen a race before where a driver who looked to have already locked up made a mistake and put the entire race of his in jeopardy. A little bit farther back, Hurricane the Ferrari has caught Herbie, but will he be able to do anything to the other Mercedes driver? Hurricane's one of 4 drivers who has not gotten a penalty. Here we go. Waddington, this time he had the inside line By denying Ultimate the apex, it's going to make it harder for Ultimate to maximize his straight line speed. Now, under braking, Ultimate's going to look to the inside. He makes the dive. Boy, does he make the dive right on the apex. He's there. He's got the car ahead. But now going to the next set of corners, the advantage turns over to Waddington instead. They're still neck and neck, though. The advantage still is Waddington. Ultimate's going to try and make a crossover coming out of 15. Waddington's going to shut the door in front of him. Now to the 16, 17, 18 complex. Highest G corners on the circuit. Ultimate trying to keep fresh air on the front wing of the car. Both cars slide out sideways. Wax has put the fastest lap of the race at 150.153. Incredible job, mate. And now back onto the front straightaway they go. Ultimate not able to make anything happen to Waddington that will stick. Waddington not able to get by Beard Boost ahead of him. Ultimate significantly faster than both of the Haas's ahead of him in the first half of the S's. In the second half, when we start going uphill gradually, though, is it the same result? It looks like it's a similar result, at least, or if not a similar result. Actually, it looks like Waddington got a good run out of the Xing the S's this time. But it doesn't matter. Ultimate very aggressive under braking. Now close in, and now Lowe has another time penalty. And Lowe, if he keeps that up, he runs the risk of not being allowed to finish the race by the game. If you get more than 21 seconds worth of penalty, you will get disqualified from the event by the game. This is Waddington right behind Beard Boost, and Ultimate's behind him trying to make something happen. Waddington at the same time is being held up by Beard Boost ahead. Beard Boost makes a little mistake going through 15 there. And Waddington, the car steps out, but again, no one's in a position to make a move because it's so hard to get the power down properly. You need to take as much track as possible to do so. Look at that, Beard Boost, Waddington, and Ultimate all taking massively different lines to the 16, 17, 18 complex. The reason for that being, Beard Boost wants to keep those tires cool so they'll last as long as they will, so he'll run offline in some of the corners that he can do so. Waddington is both trying to be the fastest around there, and he also wants to keep as much good, clean air on the nose so the aerodynamics of the car are at their most efficient. Ultimate is trying to do the same regarding aerodynamics, so he's right outside of Waddington. You want to be right behind somebody in the straight so they're punching the hole through in the air for you so you're faster in a straight line, but you don't want to do that in the corner though, because downforce, especially front downforce, is so important when it comes to construction of Formula 1 car nowadays that it's hard to make a corner work if you're losing air from following the driver in front of you in a corner. As we see here, Ultimate, by not following Waddington going through the first two corners of the S's, was able to close right in on Waddington, so Ultimate's right there under Waddington. Now, Waddington had a little bit better run, putting the power down. Coming out of the S's, doesn't matter. Here comes Ultimate with the dive. Neck and neck, but Waddington, again, having that outside line advantage is going to put him back in front of the Mercedes-powered Williams. Now, both cars will go into the wet stuff. Beard Boost is going to be under threat as well here, while Ultimate looking on the outside, trying to take as much track as he can. They're still neck and neck. They're going to be neck and neck as they head to some of the slowest corners here. The Williams has his nose ahead. He still has his nose ahead, but the Haas is fighting back. They're still neck and neck. Now the advantage goes back to the Haas. They're still side by side coming out of turn 15 now. They're side by side as they head into 16, and now move Ultimate. He has finally gotten by Waddington. It took numerous laps, but finally it has happened. The Williams is now gotten ahead of one of the Haas's. Now the question is, can Ultimate do anything to Beard Boost ahead of him? And of note, MCR Path is just within range. If Waddington makes a mistake, Path will be the next driver who might be able to make something happen here. Also of note, Zola drivers is starting to catch this group of cars. He is closing in. Not by a massive amount, but he is closing in enough. And there you are, side by side up there. Ultimate, Beard Boost, neck and neck through the S's. Ultimate's got the car ahead. Beard Boost is fighting back, though. He is not giving any quarter, and Beard Boost will slot ahead in the second to last quarter of the S's. But now Waddington has to hold off Path, and Zola is right there as well, ready to make something happen. So a spirited battle. Waddington's fighting back against Ultimate now. Waddington wants that third position back. This is on board Waddington. Is he going to try and make a dive bomb on Ultimate down the straightaway? He moves out of line to keep the tires a little bit cooler, then falls back in line. He's not making a dive bomb yet, but he's probably betting on Ultimate getting held up by Beard Boost in the same way he was held up by Beard Boost also, and he will try to capitalize on Ultimate, leaving open track when that happens. All three drivers taking slightly different lines coming out of 15, sets him up for turn 16, 17, 18 now. Ultimate is actually going to stay just a little bit out of the tire tracks of Beard Boost, but slugs right behind him on the exit of 18. That's going to compromise his aerodynamics just a little bit when he goes into braking for turn 19. But now through turn 20, he's right behind him. In turn 20, aerodynamics don't matter quite as much. It's a much, much slower corner, a very flat corner, so aerodynamics don't matter as much. He can be right behind somebody and not be held as badly. Here comes the dive. Ultimate on the inside of Beard Boost. Neck and neck for the second position now. Ferrari power versus Mercedes power. And he's got him. Or does he? Beard Boost isn't giving up. Ultimate went off circuit there. Beard Boost back in front. They made contact again. They made contact several times already. Ultimate seems to be much stronger than Beard Boost in the S's at least, or at least entering them, but Beard Boost is stronger exiting them, and that is one of the things that is really, really helping Beard Boost hold on to second position right now. Zola is right there, ready to make something happen. Waddington wants to make something happen as well. Everyone's trying to make something happen, and with no DRS overtakes, this is probably some of the most honest racing you'll ever going to see in Formula One, or at least in the F1 games. DRS assist, it's all coming down to his driver ability and car placement. Ultimate making a dive once more, coming out of the straightaway. Beard Boost puts the power down early though and gets right back in front. Waddington's back there ready to make a move. Also of note, Herbie is closing in on this battle as well. Here comes Waddington to the inside. Not close enough, but it doesn't matter, he's still trying. Path made a mistake, putting the power down, and now Zola is right behind him once more. And now there are so many cars on top of each other through here, they're all sacrificing each other's aerodynamic profiles going through that 16, 17, 18 complex. That means that for the moment at least, Beard Boost and to a lesser extent Ultimate will be in the best position. But despite that, it appears that Waddington is keeping up, Path is keeping up, Zola is keeping up, and Herbie is just about caught in this battle. Hurricane has also caught Herbie. By virtue of Beard Boost being so much slower, but very, very good on defense, is bringing the entire field, who's not the leader and Steele and Low, all together here. With Waddington through the S's. This time, Ultimate's not quite as close to Beard Boost. There. He makes the dive bomb going into the hairpin. But like we've seen before, the Haas has the advantage on the outside, putting the power down. It doesn't matter. Ultimate had a really, really good run through the hairpin. It's going to be neck and neck down the straightaway here. The Haas is pulling ahead by just the smallest amount. But Ultimate will be in the perfect position for a dive bomb. He pulls the car half in line behind Beard Boost to get a little bit of a draft assist, then goes for the dive bomb. He's got the car 2/3 ahead. Halfway ahead. He's fully ahead of Beard Boost, but Beard Boost's going to make another dive going into the slower corners. They make contact twice. There now. Now Waddington is there ready to make something happen. Beard Boost is going to do the crossover. Neck and neck as they go to turn 15 now. And Ultimate caught on the outside. That was the closest we've seen Ultimate be to getting to second position all day long, and Pat has just got turned, and the car is totaled on the front straightaway. And the Mercedes, the machine completely destroyed. Now there are only 9 cars left on the circuit, and only 3 of them are Mercedes powered now. Ultimate still right there behind Beard Boost trying to make something happen. Now Zola is up to 5th. Oh no, and Herbie! One of the other Mercedes just gets taken out, and that's a full course safety car. And now the entire field is going to be gathered up, and there are only 8 cars now left on the circuit. We are now under a full course yellow once again for the second time today. And Wax, being 17.9 seconds ahead, if he so chooses, he could go ahead, come into the pits and change tires and would not have an issue. We're going to try and talk to Herbie and Path real quickly. See if they want to share what happened to them from their perspective. This is your race leader. The Ferrari of Wax has basically walked off on his own. Here we are. Alright, in the broadcast booth with us is XRRL Herbie. Herbie, go ahead, include your audio. What happened? We didn't see what happened that took you out of the race there in the S's. What occurred?
I need to include my audio. Can you hear me now? Is that alright?
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Basically, after the S's, I got full traction, obviously, to the back end of Zola, and I thought, right, I've got the pace here, I should take him on this next turn after the S's on the right and to the left. I just put too much throttle on, decided to try and overtake him as much as I can and gain as much as I can on him, but too much throttle just spun me off, completely wiped me out completely.
Well, Herbie, you missed qualifying altogether. You were doing a very slow, methodical charge up through the field. It's a shame to see it happen there. I will say this, though. That train of about 6-7 cars you were in was absolutely fascinating to watch, without a doubt.
It was enjoyable to be in, to be fair. Me and Ryan was behind roughly Zola by 1.5 seconds. But obviously, with the train still building up throughout every lap, when it came towards being there on the back end of it, it started getting more interesting. But as me and Ryan were saying, we'll catch up with him one day and we'll end up taking him, don't worry, we'll do it. And I was like, yeah, but don't take me out. And then next minute, I couldn't spin out myself.
Alright, out of curiosity, considering that Path was just ahead of you, did you see what happened to MCR Path on the front straight before you wrecked out?
I didn't see any contact at all, and obviously Zola was the car behind, and I was the car behind Zola, and to what I could see from my view, I think his rear end just lost it on him, and we haven't got really a reason why, because there was no contact, and obviously on a straight you don't expect your car to spin off like that on a straight. But yeah, like Zola said, he didn't see any contact, he didn't contact him, so I think he just put too much power down on the part of the track that he didn't really need to.
Alright, well, once again, I just want to say, Herbie, thank you for putting on a very, very good show thus far, not to mention being willing to jump into the broadcast booth and sharing your experiences in the event. I will go ahead and extend the offer, because I know you are also a broadcaster in XRRL. If you want to stay in the booth for the rest of the race, feel free, but don't, if you want, that is.
No, that's fine then. I'm out of the race. I'll back me in a second. I'm just going to go to the toilet.
Alright.
Cheers, buddy.
Well, yep. But anyways, we are now 21 laps into the event. We're still waiting on the other Mercedes of XRRL Steel to catch up to the back of the field right now. Currently only 8 drivers left on the track. We've been in the middle of very, very intense racing, to say the least. But the most interesting part here, your race leader, XRL Wax, is still in the same set of intermediate tires he started the race on. Everyone behind him has put on brand new intermediates. So this is going to make things very, very interesting. Also of note, only 3 cars do not have penalties: Wax, Beard Boost, and then Hurricane. As we look very briefly at the penalty rate, Lowe is at risk of being disqualified from the race. He has 21 seconds worth of penalties thus far in this race. He spent most of this race by himself. This goes to show you how difficult this is. And Zola has made contact with Ultimate, apparently. Well, that sounds like bull crap to me, considering that I didn't see either of those cars react like contact happened. But we are getting word that officially the safety car will come in this lap, and we're only looking at 8 cars left on the field right now. So, very interesting right now. I don't think those penalties that the game just gave to Ultimate and Zola are legitimate. Just saying. Hopefully those get properly removed after the race is over. As we are getting ready to get underway here, the question is going to be between Ultimate and Beard Boost. Can either of them do anything to Wax? As Wax finally is on much, much older tires, he actually has a significant disadvantage to the cars behind him now. And then Zola is on super fresh tires as well. Zola is in a different, unique scenario. He might run out of tires before this race is over. This is his 3rd different set of tires. Everyone else is only on their 2nd or 1st. But we are underway now. Beard Boost, if he's going to make a move on Wax, this is his best chance. This lap is his best chance to do it before Ultimate starts trying to do something on him. 2 Ferrari-powered cars leading the field here. Wax is already gone. Nothing that Beard Boost can do to even keep up with that Ferrari. And already he's getting pressured by Ultimate going through the corners. Waddington has dropped significantly down through the field. He's fallen all the way to 6th. So there is no help from Beard Boost's teammate when it comes to maintaining that 2nd position. The gap already over 6/10 between the leader and 2nd place here. So the question is going to be, what can Ultimate do to Beard Boost now? Dive. Ultimate looking to the inside of Beard Boost, neck and neck. They might make a little bit of contact here. And Beard Boost cannot be happy. Neither of these drivers are probably happy with the other because they both feel that racing with each other is probably keeping them from having any shot at combating with Wax while Wax is still on such old tires. Putting the power down, it looks like the Haas is still going to be ahead. Just for the moment, though, these two are right back to battling. Oh, and the Haas on the inside while the Williams goes way wide there. The Haas is going to maintain 2nd position. Zola is there. Zola wants to make something happen to Ultimate and Beard Boost here. Already the gap's open to 1.5 seconds, but I think most of that is because Beard Boost keeps fighting with Ultimate and can't try and focus on Wax and those 22-lap-old intermediate tires. See if I can. Well, never mind. Alright. So after that, I can't see what the actual cylinder for tire wear is on the cars like you can in Forza. So we just kind of have to estimate. But I'm estimating right now that Wax's tires are not in anything close to a good position right now. He's not pulling nearly as far on Beard Boost as he had been the prior few laps. Ultimate right there behind Beard Boost once again. As we're looking at what seems to be a 5-car train from Beard Boost down to Waddington. So you got a Williams, Red Bull and Ferrari being the meat, and a sandwich where Haas is the bread. Here he is. Ultimate looks to the inside once, twice. He's going to make a huge dive here. But Beard Boost has the advantage of a longer way around, so he's able to put the power down a little easier and a little bit smoother. Nearly neck and neck through 16, 17. Now Beard Boost is going to cut down in front of Ultimate, take some of the air off of Ultimate. Ultimate's going to try and oversteer, cuts right in front of him again. Now Wax has a time penalty for track violation. Beard Boost has a track penalty for track violation also. Ryan Hurricane is the only car without a track violation penalty now. Ultimate's right there behind Beard Boost. He may make a dive bomb going into turn 1. Beard Boost isn't going to be too defensive. He knows he has the outside line, but they make a little bit of contact. That contact's going to sacrifice some of that speed that Beard Boost had mid-corner. That means the Williams might finally have the second position. Yes, he does. Will he be able to hold on to it? Up about 7/10 of a second gap on Beard Boost, and now it's Zola's turn. Can Zola do anything to the Haas machine? No DRS, like we said before, there's no DRS when the track is wet. Every overtake you see, 100% driver skill and ability. No artificial overtakes here. Coming out of the end of the straightaway. Zola holding on to 4th right now. Beard Boost has already fallen more than a second off of Ultimate, but Ultimate isn't really closing in on Wax all that much. Despite extremely warm tires, Wax actually seems to maintain about 2.6, 2.7 second gap on Ultimate, and it's possible that gap is only going to get larger. Hurricane within half a second, Zola ahead. And by virtue of not having 8 time penalties right now, Hurricane may be in a very, very good position if he can keep that up to the end of the race. But again, we're not even halfway through the event right now. If this was a traditional XRL event, we'd be looking at the last 3-4 laps right now, and we'd be talking about how great of a run that Zola has had coming back from damage on the first lap to get to 4th. But right now, because of the way everything is, there is a potential that Zola might get into the top 3. Top 2 might even be able to fight with Wax if something happens to Wax. Because right now, Zola is in a decent position. We're not very deep into this race. We're not quite halfway through this race. We are deep into this race, but we're not super deep. We're not in the closing sections by any extent in the imagination. Zola is within about half a second. Boddington thought of making a crazy dive bomb on Hurricane there at the end of the straight, but thought better of it at the end. Now, here's something else of note. So, Lowe is currently running 7th. But he has 24 seconds worth of penalties right now. The next closest is Zola with 14. And even there, about 5 of those 5 seconds worth of those penalties are probably illegitimate and will probably be removed afterwards. As it is right now, Lowe will more than likely be disqualified once this race is over. So Steele may end up finishing 7th despite being extremely off pace just by virtue of keeping that car relatively clean. And again, Ultimate and Zola both have penalties that I would argue are probably not legitimate right now. And at turn 1, Ultimate, it looks like those tires on Wax's end are finally dying on him. The gap between 1st and 2nd has collapsed to about 2 seconds now. Ultimate is walking away from Beard Boost behind. But Zola hasn't really been in a position to make a move on Beard Boost, and same for Hurricane. Hurricane's been a little bit closer to Zola than Zola has, and Lowe has just gone around! And in the S's and will drop right to the 8th position on the racetrack. He is back underway though. Meanwhile, back at this train, Zola. Right now, he can't focus on Beard Boost. He needs to see if he can keep Hurricane behind him. Hurricane may make a dive bomb here. He looks to the inside, thinks better of it, though. Zola closed in on Beard Boost just a little bit at the end of the straight. So when these cars hit what might as well be terminal velocity, not true terminal velocity, but a kind of terminal velocity at the end of the straight, Zola seems to be a little bit closer to Beard Boost. You see Hurricane really struggling to put the power down properly. He's going to run a little bit wide through 16 and 17 and 18, trying to keep more clean air on the nose of the car. That allows Zola, and there you see Hurricane coming on the outside. And that's not Hurricane, that's Waddington. Waddington has just gone around the outside. Now Ultimate has just set the fastest lap of the day, 149.452. He is running down your race leader. We may have a fight for a lead in the next lap or two if it keeps up like this. But Waddington has just gotten by the Ferrari of Hurricane. And now Ultimate has a 3-second time penalty for track violations, though. So that's the thing. Ultimate has a bunch of time penalties, while Wax, I believe, only has 3 seconds worth. So right now, Ultimate, not only would he have to get by Wax, he'd have to run away from him. Oh, and Lowe has gone around again. And there's significant front wing damage. There is something wrong with that car. 2 out of 3 laps straight now. He has gone around in this session. He goes around again. Come on, camera. Update. There he is. I think he may have melted, not literally, but metaphorically melted those rear tires, and he's not able to get the power applied properly. And now with the front wing of that car completely gone, I think it's very reasonable to say that his race is over. He is struggling fruitlessly here in the back of the field, unable to make anything happen. Meanwhile, farther up, Hurricane, Waddington, Zola, Beard Boost all still on top of each other, although Beard Boost has opened up a small gap on Zola. Waddington wants to make up those spots. He wants to get back by Zola. These are spots that he lost earlier on, but the real battle, it might end up being for the lead very shortly here. Waddington looking to make a potential dive going into turn 1. He thinks better of it, though. Ultimate is there. He's within a second. Well, about a second. Now he's within a second. And if DRS was a thing, he would be able to start using DRS to try and get by Wax. But with no DRS, it's going to be a matter of Ultimate versus Wax. Wax is on 20-lap older tires, though. And Lowe has now officially been knocked out of the race, and we are under a virtual safety car. Then there were 7. Only 7 cars are left in the race. Should be back underway very shortly here, I imagine. And there you are. And now Steele has a drive-through penalty. The thing with Steele, though, is that it's not going to hurt him too much, considering he's already 7th, way off pace. He's guaranteed at least a 7th place finish. And Wax has decided to make his pit stop, finally. Now, the interesting thing for Wax is that he will have to make up all these positions under green. He'll have to overtake a bunch of cars ahead of him, but now the situation has turned. Although it's not as extreme as it was earlier, Wax is now going to have to overtake cars while he has newer tires and everyone else has older ones. Zola is the meat in a Haas sandwich right now. He's not able to get close enough to Waddington to make anything happen to him. I mean, close enough to Beard Muse to make something happen to him, but Waddington isn't close enough to directly fight Zola either. Hurricane, though, is close enough to make something happen if Waddington makes a mistake, though. Here comes a dive bomb. Waddington thinks better of it at the last second, falls back in line behind the Red Bull. To still see if he can do something with Beard Boost. With no DRS, so it's significantly harder to make overtakes, every single overtake. And here we are. Joining the party right now is XRRL Low. Low, go ahead, include your audio. It's been a tough race, man. What happened to finally take you out there? Low, can you hear me? Yeah, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Real quickly, what happened that took you out of the race there?
That was a horrible start for me. It's not a good race. Couldn't get anything done. Hit Ollie, lost my way. Yeah, I don't know. Can't tell you.
Alright. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you hopefully have a better run in about a week's time when we go to, I believe, will be the China circuit. I guess somewhat good news due to how many other drivers already got knocked out of the event, though. You are guaranteed at least an 8th place position. So
I guess that's a good thing. I don't know. I can't see any positives coming out of this race, to be honest. I had the worst race. The rain tune wasn't ready. It just wasn't ready. So I couldn't even floor it through some of the corners like you can when you have a good tune. So it's hard to say.
Alright, well, either way, Lo, thanks for being willing to include your audio and tell us what happened to you in today's event. It's a shame we're not going to see you in the closing stages of today's race. Meanwhile, the game has just decided to give Zola another 3 seconds worth of time penalty. So now Zola is in the position where he's creeping dangerously close to being eliminated from the race altogether. Wax has now just set the fastest lap, 148.098. And of note, Wax hasn't quite yet caught the guys ahead of him, though, but his pace will be significantly hampered when he does so. Zola's at 17 seconds, ultimately is at 14 seconds. And you can see right there, Zola has made 3 different stops today, each time putting on new sets of tires. Everyone else has only done a single stop this far. Now Wax has another penalty. So that brings him up to 6 seconds worth of penalties now, and that's going to make things a little bit harder for him. Right now, Hurricane is in a very good position. As they run right now, if the race was done right now, Hurricane would basically come home in the 2nd position by virtue of just not having any time penalties right now. Just to put things in perspective. Wax has now, without a doubt, caught this train of cars. And now here comes the real difficult part. He's faster than them by himself, but he's been ahead of drivers pretty much this entire event. This is the first time where he's going to actually have to work and deal with dirty air and see if he can make overtakes happen without an assist of DRS. Every overtake that happens here is going to be 100% driver-based, so this is the gauntlet. The longer Wax gets stuck in this group, the farther and farther away Ultimate can go. Now you see a Haas up there making a move on Zola. That's Waddington and Zola going neck and neck. Hurricane's going to move out of the way for his teammate Wax. And Waddington has gotten ahead of the Red Bull and Zola. So Haas goes back up to second and third. Zola's still right there behind Waddington though. If Waddington makes a mistake, Zola will be there. Look at how much Wax closes in through the S's though. He's already trying and making threats against Zola. He's there alongside Zola going uphill. Damage the front wing of that car. It doesn't look like it, but that was really close to taking off part of that front wing from Wax. What's he gonna do to Zola now? He's got the freshest tires out of this group. He's already passed one of them. What can he do to Zola though? Much, much better applying the power coming onto the straight. He's going to the outside. He'll have the advantage of a longer run as long as Zola doesn't totally deny the apex to him. The Red Bull's a little bit faster at the end of the straight though. But Wax is holding in on it. Neck and neck as they come out of the straight and into the slowest sections on the circuit. Wax put him in front. Now put Zola in front. They're side by side through some of the slowest corners on the track where it's all mechanical grip and throttle application. Zola has the inside. Wax has the outside. Wax will be able to put the power down a little smoothly. And he's already by Zola. He's already halfway through the gauntlet. And now the two cars ahead are the two Haas machines. Already caught Waddington as well. Wax is in a completely separate zip code from the rest of the field right now. Within half a second of Waddington ahead of him. Does he wait or does he go and try and make a move in the S's? Drivers have been very hot and cold going through the S's throughout most of the day. He's already over a second ahead of Zola. Christ. Nothing is stopping this man. He's not really set a wheel. Well, I shouldn't say he's not set a wheel run all day. That's more of his teammate Hurricane. But Wax has been in a zip code of his own so much so that all of his mistakes haven't really hurt him very much at all when it comes to this race. He's gone on the outside of Waddington now. He has the advantage of putting the power down a little bit earlier, but Waddington has a quick run around the corner and will move his Haas back in front of the Ferrari. Wax now has the question of will he go ahead and try to make something happen going into the braking zone? Not yet. Yes, he does. He's going to try it. He's just keeping his car there nice and steady. He's got Waddington right beside him. Two champions going at it here. Waddington's just a little bit stronger, I would argue. But it doesn't matter. Wax, with the younger tires, is easily going to bring him up into the third position. Now there's only one car left. Wax is in a position to be completely out of this gauntlet of cars within 3 laps of him catching it. He's already right there behind Beard Boost. Beard Boost, who is locked up the X2 championship this season, trying to hold off a champion in his own right. And now Steele has had an accident in Sector 3. I don't see any serious damage to that car, but that has been an accident. Thankfully, though, Steele is on the complete opposite end of the racetrack. It's not going to harm him, at least not going to harm the field, and he's not got caught up in anything. He's right there. Look at Wax right under Beard Boost, putting all the pressure you can imagine on him. And the thing with Beard Boost is that if Wax gets by him and Beard Boost is left out in an awkward part of the track, it will bring his teammate Waddington right there with them. Here we are, neck and neck. Wax dives out at the last second, but he's going to make a dive bomb potentially in the hairpin. No, he doesn't. He's going to think better of it. But he's way, way smoothly putting the power down, coming down. Waddington behind him, though. Waddington might make a desperate move. Wax looks to the outside. Is he going to try and do anything? No, yes he is. He is going to. He has a much, much smoother line coming out of the back straightaway. He makes a huge lunge. Look at that. They're neck and neck for a second position. Wax gets a time penalty, though, for doing that, so he's going to have to race hard once he finally does get by Beard Boost. Beard Boost is not staying for it. He's going to push Wax wide. They're going to be side by side through 16, 17, 18 complex. They're still side by side. They're still side by side. They are still side by side through some of the most difficult sections of the racetrack. And Wax is going to make an overtaking one of the most difficult parts on this race course. And within 3 laps, Wax clears the gauntlet, and now there's only 11 and a half seconds between himself and Ultimate, and the race lead and potentially the race win. Now Waddington has caught Beard Boost, and Zola is right there as well. Beard Boost has just gotten a penalty. Of note, Hurricane still has no penalties. So Hurricane is putting himself in position to walk out here in 3rd. Zola wants to make something happen to the Haas cars, but I think very obviously, even if he got by the Haas cars, nobody has anything for the Ferrari except maybe Ultimate. And even then, Ultimate, the time between himself and Wax has already started collapsing rapidly. The worn tires seem to be the only time that Wax had any serious problems today. Waddington is making a move on the inside of Beard Boost, neck and neck, and now you can move Waddington back up to the 3rd position. Beard Boost is going to fall to 4th. And those Haas cars were both far enough ahead of Zola that they were able to make that exchange in positions without running the risk of Zola taking advantage of it and getting by Beard Boost as well. But Beard Boost has now fallen from 2nd to 4th in less than a lap, and he might lose another position. Zola is on the inside of Beard Boost here, but Beard Boost puts the power down a little bit smoother. Meanwhile, Hurricane continues to just lurk behind them, while everyone ahead of him continues to rack up time penalties. Hurricane quite literally may be in position to finish 3rd, if not 2nd. That's going to depend on how much Ultimate falls off at the end of this race. Wax is now within 10.3 seconds of your race leader. Zola is at 20 seconds worth of penalty, though. Now, 5 of those seconds, again, I would hope at least the officials realize that 5 of those seconds for Zola and 5 of those seconds for Ultimate are illegitimate. But if they choose not to, Zola is dangerously close to the point where he may get disqualified from this race. Wax has closed the gap down to about 9.6 seconds. He's eating away at the gap, and as the tires get older, the benefit is only going to go further into Wax's favor. He went half this race, or roughly half this race, on intermediate tires, and he's looking to go to the end on the same tire compound. So he might win this race by virtue of just pushing the tires so long that he can one-stop it. But even without that, he's on route to potentially win this race by virtue of just having way more pace than everyone else as well. Waddington has walked away from Beard Boost now, and there goes pit stops, and that's one of your Haas machines. That's going to be Beard Boost, I believe, who went ahead and jumped into the pits. Yes, it is. So Beard Boost is pitting, and will swap onto a different set of intermediates to go to the end of today's race. Now Zola needs to see if he can potentially try and catch up to Waddington. But again, Waddington only has 3 seconds worth of time penalty. Zola has 20, 15 at the least. So that's not looking very good for Zola. Also note right now, Waddington is just within 6 seconds of Wax right now. So if the race was in right now, he could take second from Wax, but Wax continues to just extend the gap between himself and Waddington, so that's not really going to matter much in a short period of time. But it is something interesting to note. Also of note, Waddington is within 14 seconds of your leader, Ultimate. So if the race was in right now and Ultimate has to serve all the time penalties he had, Waddington would be ahead of Ultimate. So, just some interesting food for thought here. Now right behind is Ryan Hurricane. I've said before, I'll say it again, Hurricane's in a very, very good position. He's looking to potentially walk out of here with a third place position, if not better, depending on if he can get around Zola. Honestly, I'm going to be honest, although Hurricane doesn't have any time penalties, he's staying behind Zola. He probably should try and work a way to get around Zola so he can try and get up there with Waddington so he can get into a podium position, because otherwise I don't think it's going to happen. I think Hurricane will only be able to get fourth. Wax, fastest lap time of the day, 147.764, and Ultimate has just gone into the pits. Wax likely will not have to stop again for this race. And if that is true, then that was the overtake right there that will give Wax the easy victory. And this just goes to show you, in Formula 1, both the game and in real life, the most important thing to get you places in Formula 1 is not being able to outrace somebody and be able to make a lot of overtakes. It helps. The most important thing is going to be tire conservation and strategy. Those are the two most important things. Wax is in a position where he's going to walk out of this race because of his tire conservation. It lets him choose a one-stop strategy while everyone else is going to have to do 2 or more stops. So because of that, Wax is basically going to be saving anywhere from 20 to 25 seconds worth of time by the end of this race. Again, we're still following Hurricane and Zola. These two are the closest 2 drivers on the track right now. All the other battles have pretty much broken up at this point. And real quickly, I just want to point out Steele once more. Steele, off pace all day long, off pace in qualifying, off pace in the race. But by virtue of staying on track, he's going to finish at least 7th. He's looking to be in a very, very decent position at the least. One second. Trying to take care of something. This is Beard Boost, who has now completely fallen off the back of the lead of what used to be a pack of cars that he was in the middle of, but that's by virtue of him stopping significantly earlier. Going back to the tire setup, Ultimate has the freshest tire. Beard Boost has comparably fresh tires. Waddington, Zola, and Hurricane will all more than likely have to stop sooner rather than later. And Wax, we are anticipating he, in his Ferrari, will go to the end on this set of intermediates. This is your fastest lap of the day thus far. And you can see the difference between Wax and the times that both Waddington and Ultimate have set. It really puts in perspective just how in control Wax has been this entire race. Roughly 1 3/4 of a second faster than the next fastest driver here. also, to Steele's credit, he's not gone a lap down. He still is on the lead lap. And with 17 laps left in this race, there's a high possibility he is not going to go a lap down. Assuming he doesn't wreck or spin. He has had a spin out earlier, but no damage to the car, and he is on pace to... He'll probably make one more... He might go a lap down if he makes a stop, which is likely considering how worn those tires are getting. Beard Boost is about 12 seconds out from Ultimate, and Ultimate had the lead earlier, so it's not likely he'll catch Ultimate. The big thing, though, is that he's about 16 seconds out from Hurricane, and about 17 out from Zola. So, about 16, 17 out from Zola. So there's a possibility he will overtake both of them once the two of them decide to make a stop. The thing is, Beard Boost is starting to rack up penalties as well. And that's probably the second most important thing, right, in Formula 1, both in real life and in the games. Being able to stay within whatever that FIA designates as track limits. If you're not... Unlike IndyCar, unlike NASCAR, unlike most other racing series, Formula 1 is very, very strict with their track limits. And because of that, it puts the drivers in a much, much tighter box for both car control and actually being able to make overtakes happen. So I'd argue the two most important things in F1 in the game and to an extent in real life is the car, although that's not mean as much here considering how the fastest drivers are put in the slowest cars, the slowest drivers are put in the fastest cars. Tire conservation, which in turn opens up better strategies, and then being able to stick within the very, very intense, limited boxes that the game gives everybody when it comes to track limits. Gap between first and second is now up to 10.3 seconds right now, and Waddington is a solid 4 seconds ahead of Zola. Hurricane's dropped off Zola just a little bit, but he continues to have no time penalties. So it's very possible that he may be able to take home a podium position, even if Beard Boost ends up leapfrogging him when these two drivers here decide to make their final stop. I don't see them going another 16 laps on these tires. They're putting 36 laps on 700 meters, considering they didn't even come close to doing that earlier. I don't see that happening here. Ultimate and Beard Boost and Steel will all likely not pit again to the end of this race. Same with Wax. It's literally just going to be a matter of what can Beard Boost, and to a lesser extent Ultimate, do in relation to Waddington, Zola, and Hurricane once those three drivers pit. Until then, we're just in a extended waiting period. Also, I'm going to give credit to Hurricane. He's been riding the draft of Zola for a lot of this race, and he still has not put a wheel on. He has not gone off track whatsoever. He is still the only driver with only clean laps, no penalties. So I just want to give huge props to Hurricane. Even if he started racking up the penalties now, having gone 41 laps with no penalties for track violations whatsoever, outstanding. And the game just gave me a notification that Steel had something happen, but I don't see anything wrong with this car. So let's kind of ignore that for now. Waddington is now fallen to 12.1 seconds out from Wax. Beard Boost is 33 seconds behind the leader, and in turn is out 21 seconds out from Waddington. So here's the thing, although Beard Boost is on fresher tires, Zola and Hurricane are still pulling a bit on him. If it keeps up like this, there is a possibility that Zola and Hurricane, when they come out of pit, will be ahead of Beard Boost, and will therefore maintain their positions over him. Now, Ultimate is going to catch. Ultimate's going to overtake both these drivers. There's no way around it. Ultimate has just naturally caught the pace. Ultimate has pace not comparable to Wax, but without a doubt the second fastest driver on track. He is going to more likely walk out here with a very well-deserved second. This is Ultimate. You can see he's right there. He's just a little bit off the back of Hurricane. He's less than a second behind the Ferrari. So position as well, I would go ahead and make my stop now before I run the risk of wrecking the car by being too aggressive on worn intermediate tires. It's not looking like the track is going to dry out by the time this race ends, so. Now Ultimate has a time penalty for track violations. Now the question is, will Ultimate make any moves on these drivers ahead, or is he just going to be content to stay here? Because the thing is, well, there's your answer. He made an immediate dive on Hurricane, looking out from the back of Zola. Hurricane's not even going to remotely fight it. So Ultimate move him up into the 4th position. And now Zola is going to be the next driver in his sights. You see a little bit of a twitch from the Ferrari and Hurricane there. The tires are really gaining away. The difference in tire wear is really showcasing itself to be a big deciding factor here. Ultimate is likely going to be able to race his way up into 2nd based on the sheer pace he has due to these fresher tires. Behind the Red Bull. Nothing crazy or aggressive yet, but he knows he's significantly faster. Steele, another time penalty, and now Steele is getting to the point where he might get DQ due to track violations and penalties, so not looking good for Steele. Second. Here is the move. Ultimate trying to make something happen on the inside of Zola. Can't make it stick yet. He looks a little bit wide. Falls back in line behind Zola. Neck and neck. Oh! He thought of making a dive bomb through the S's there, but thought better of it before he committed. Need to be careful through here. You do not want to be too aggressive and spin and wreck your car here like Lowe did. Zola now opens a little bit of a gap on Ultimate. Also note, Zola is still within 4 seconds of Waddington, so Waddington's not really in a great position. Waddington and Zola have been pretty much equal in pace, so once Ultimate gets by Zola, assuming the tires aren't too badly worn, it shouldn't be too hard for him to get by Waddington ahead. See Hurricane's dropping off the back here. It seems like, although Hurricane will finish without any penalties, he may not be close enough to drivers ahead to actually capitalize on that fact. And Waddington, Ultimate, and Hurricane, Waddington, Zola, and Hurricane all seem to be relatively committed to trying to make these intermediates last to the end of this race. Or they're really betting on the track drying out late and trying to put on softs to go to the end. As these tires continue to get more and more worn, the advantage is only going to go further and further toward Ultimate here. Reminder, Ultimate was able to run down and overtake Wax on track by virtue of having much younger tires than Wax did at that time. and no one else has been comparable to Wax in pace. So Ultimate's going to get by Zola eventually. There's no doubt about that. The question is just, how long is he willing to waste? It's 12 laps to go right now, and he's still about 3 seconds out, 3-4 seconds out from Waddington. Here he is. He's making a move now on Zola. Zola's fighting back. Neck and neck. These slow sections. A little mechanical grip and throttle control through here. Ultimate has the quicker line. Zola gets caught behind him, can't make the crossover 6, so now you can move Ultimate up into the 3rd position, and he will now begin setting his sights on Waddington. And here goes Zola into the pits. Oh, and Zola! Zola has just completely missed the pit lane entrance. And that's going to be a massive penalty against Zola. In fact, he's now at 30 seconds. I'm going to be honest, I think Zola might get disqualified from this race. Zola now runs the risk of being disqualified from the race, and he may have just lost any chance he had. The top 3, he tried to come in and pit, missed it entirely. He's now not only behind Hurricane, he has a 30-second time penalty with the high risk of getting disqualified when the race is over. Hurricane now has his first 3-second time penalty, but when everyone around him has 12 or more seconds, that's not really too bad. Ultimate, 2.5 seconds out from Waddington and closing. But the question is going to be, can Zola make it into the pits? He failed once. Will he be able to do it this time? You can hear how ginger Zola is trying to be when it comes to throttle application now. The tires are basically dead. DED dead. It's DEAD actually, but that's a little joke that I have with some friends from like years back. So. Alright, now here comes the question. Are these drivers going to go ahead and pit? Zola, will he be able to make it? Much earlier on the brakes. And he will make it in. Waddington has also gone ahead and made a stop. So now Ultimate officially into the 2nd position. Hurricane is going to stay out another lap. So now, Beard Boost is going to overtake 1. Will he be able to overtake his teammate Waddington, though? That's going to be a big question here. Yes, he does at the last possible second. I think Waddington will be happy about that. But here's the thing. Beard Boost has 9 laps on his tires. Waddington is going to have fresh tires. And Zola, because he went through so many sets of intermediate tires earlier, he's putting on worn tires. So they're still fresher than everyone else except Waddington, but this goes to show you how strategy has really bit him in the butt. Zola not in a great position now. A Hurricane is currently 3rd and a long way ahead of everyone else. The thing is he going to pit or is he going to make these intermediate tires last to the end? He has about 11 seconds over Beard Boost, and we're at about 9 laps to go. He could lose roughly a second a lap and would still walk out of here 3rd. And now Waddington is going to overtake Beard Boost on the straight with no issue. Wax, fastest lap of the race on relatively warm tires, 147.189. Ooh, look at him chase that car, though, coming out of 15. That was a little bit intense, I won't lie. And there's what you're looking at right now. 25 seconds of penalties against Zola. Again, 5 of those are debatable. He has 25 seconds worth of penalties against him. So his ability to actually properly, have his results count from this race are debatable. Wax and Ultimate both have 12 seconds worth of penalties each. Hurricane and Waddington both have 3 seconds of penalties each. But Waddington is closing the gap on Hurricane. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hurricane's going to try and make those intermediates last to the end or not. Beard Boost has 9 seconds of penalties, but he's so far ahead of Zola that it's not going to matter. So right now, and Beard Boost just gets another penalty, but it's not really going to matter because of where everyone is on the track. No one is positioned to actually gain or lose position based off the penalties they have. But Hurricane is significantly slower than Waddington right now. Sector 2 for Waddington. Fresh tires really do seem to mean everything here. Oh, but he still gets that thing a little bit skittering coming out 15. Gap now down to about 7 seconds between Hurricane and Waddington. And both of them have the same number of time penalties as well right now. So for all intents and purposes, this is not looking very good for Hurricane. Also of note, Steel is under threat of going a lap down to Wax here. It's not happened yet, but right on board Steel, you look behind him, that's your race leader behind him. Looks like Steel is actually going to pull over so he does not hamper Wax whatsoever. So Steel will sadly go a lap down and not finish this race on the lap. However, he is guaranteed 7th, possibly 6th, depending on how the stewards rule regarding Zola if those 5 seconds he got from a collision with Ultimate end up factoring in or not. Waddington now within 6 seconds. Well, 5 seconds, actually, of Ryan Hurricane, and there's 7 laps to go. So the question isn't if Waddington will catch Hurricane, the question is now, when will he catch them? Waddington has 2 lap-worn tires. Hurricane's running 29-lap-old tires. To put things in perspective, Wax ran about 29 lap-old tires before he decided to jump in and swap to new ones, and he was significantly slower, despite being the fastest driver on track by a large margin. This is just not going to work out in Hurricane's favor at all. I can't see how this is going to benefit him. The old tires are just eating chunks out of the little bit of time he has over Waddington. Waddington is honestly en route to a 3rd place finish by virtue of Hurricane trying to make a one-stop work, but not being able to get the tires to work in that way. 7th place, Steel. 6th place, Zola. 5th place, Beard Boost. 4th place, Waddington. 3rd place, Hurricane. 2nd place, Ultimate. And 1st place, Wax. And all 7 of these drivers deserve some credit for being able to keep control of their cars and not have them totaled today in a race where we've seen almost half the field get destroyed from how wet this track is. You can see the main racing line on the racetrack is moderately dried out at this point. Also of note, the gap between Hurricane and Waddington is beginning to stabilize. It's not fully stabilized, but it's beginning to stabilize. The gap is still closing, but it's only about 4.5 seconds now. And we're at about 5 laps to go, so I think Waddington's, the freshness of those tires aren't helping him as much anymore. He's still closing, but not nearly at the rate that he was earlier. There's still a potential for a fight there. It's like Waddington has just gotten another time penalty for track violations. Hurricane only has 3 seconds. Waddington has 6 now. So that's going to hurt Waddington more than anything else. So he may be closing in on Hurricane slowly, but it's with that penalty, it may make it to where that just gave third position to Hurricane for good. Right number with Hurricane. Laps on intermediates. Hurricane really playing a very, very crazy game here, trying to make those tires last to the end. If he can do it though, he may get a podium out of this. But Waddington is fighting back. He's closed in to about 3 seconds now off of Hurricane. But he has 3-second gap to him when it comes to penalties. Wait. Oh, I've been reading the times wrong. Well, never mind. I thought we were under interval and we're under leader. I just realized how that was weird. All right, so now we're under leader. So the gap is actually 10 seconds between 3rd and 4th. So that means that as long as Hurricane doesn't set up for a complete, total catastrophic tire failure, he's got 3rd position by default. And Beard Boost! Beard Boost has now gone off, and that's a virtual safety car in the last 3 laps of the race. Zola is going to come into the pits. I guess he's going to put on a different set of tires. I don't really see what the advantage is. But this also means that Steele is going to finish 6th, assuming nothing happens to him. I don't know what happened to Beard Boost. The car seemed to just go off the circuit, I guess, on the straights. But we are back underway now. And Steele en route to what may be a 6th place finish. Also, Zola is going to get lapped by Wax, I think. Yeah, he just put on another set of tires. And although they're not nearly as one as Wax's, I think he might still get lapped. But yeah, Steele is now going to finish 6th. Waddington is now 12 seconds off of Hurricane. And the question is simply at this point, will Hurricane's tires make it these last 2.5 laps? 3 laps for him. It's really 3 laps. But... I want to check something. Christ, Zola, so many pit stops. Wax is right behind Zola. Well, Wax put a lap down the driver who a lot of us had pegged as being the biggest threat to him today. Waddington's quest for try to catch Hurricane is over. He's 9 seconds out. He's not going to make that up unless Hurricane has a catastrophic tire failure. 33 laps on tires. And Ultimate is going to cruise home to a 2nd place finish. And that's Hurricane! And it has happened! This is it, folks. Waddington's best chance to make something happen to Hurricane is now. Half of the front wing is missing on that Ferrari. He can't even make the corners properly now. Waddington will overtake Hurricane. It was a desperate strategy to hold on to 3rd, and it's not going to work out. Ultimate is at 15 seconds worth of time penalties. Waddington is at 6. Now, 5 of those seconds are questionable. But with a 9-second gap right now, Ultimate is still way ahead of Waddington, so he'll hold on to 2nd, and Waddington will take 3rd. Zola is too far back. Zola's gone a lap down to leader. Zola is too far back to capitalize on what's happened to Hurricane. So where everyone is running right now is going to be where they finish this race. Zola is going to be very, very questionable. He's come in and taken off some of his penalties during stops. So he's not at 21 seconds, but he has incurred a bunch of penalties throughout the race today. So I don't know if he's going to actually be allowed to keep the time. Wax just put 146.469 down, and he's on some of the most worn tires in the race. 26 laps. Christ. Wax has just gotten another time penalty, but so late in the race it's not really going to matter much. As long as he doesn't make a mistake and wreck the car, he has this race won. The driver behind him is Zola, who's a lap down. The next closest driver to him in terms of position is 33 seconds out. Quite frankly, Wax could wreck in Sector 3 and would probably still bring home the race win. As long as he doesn't tow the car in the wreck, obviously. Anyways, this is your race leader, Wax, as he's navigating turn 15 now. Puts the power down. No issue, just like it's been all day for long for him. Just a few penalties, but not enough to really harm him. Coming through a 16, 17, 18 complex into that technical and frustrating turn 19. Step wide, wow! That's the first little issue we've seen from Wax all day today. Comes out of that final corner, puts the power down, and give it up to your race winner, XRRL Wax. This is ultimate. 32 seconds out. Zola has crossed the line. He will be 5th, credited with 5th at the end. Steele has now crossed the line as he will be credited with 6th. In a 13-car field, only 6 drivers are going to finish. Ultimate coming around the final corner. And he will officially come home in the 2nd position. Waddington coming out of turn 18, heavy braking to turn 19. Jump on the power, and then another heavy braking zone in turn 20. Waddington comes home 3rd. And now this is Hurricane. He will come home 4th. But we're going to go ahead and try to talk to Wax. Congratulations on a extremely dominant performance here. We'll try to talk with Wax here. If he doesn't choose to join the party, I can't do anything about it. But there we are. And our race winner. Here we are. Our race winner, XRRL Wax, has gone ahead, joined the party. Go ahead, make sure your ID is included. Wax, congratulations on your win. What do you have to say? I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, congratulations on your win, Wax. What do you have to say? Okay, well, good job. Congratulations. Alright, well, that's your word from your race winner, XRRL Wax, in the Scuderia Ferrari. A dominant victory from the pole, led pretty much every lap, except for a very, very short period in the middle where the Williams of Ultimate led some. A very, very strong performance. We're looking to go into China next week, which will be our 2nd race in the full-length racing season. Hopefully we'll have a few more cars on the track, and hopefully we'll have more cars running at the end, because we only had 6 cars running at the end of the race today. But anyways, I've been Insane Leader 13, and this has been the XRRL series. We'll look forward to seeing you in a week's time. Tomorrow, X1, X2, and X3 will have their championship finales at Yas Marina, so feel free to check those out. I'll be covering the X3 race, and I believe Beard Boost will be Herbie will be covering the X2 event. So I highly encourage you guys to check that out if you want to see more from the XRRL F1 2020 series. Have a good time, and goodbye, everybody.